Good morning, everyone, and thank you for watching a little bit earlier on a Monday and also after a little bit of a break. Sorry, I haven't been able to come online and share my little ponderings. I was away at the beautiful Casa Limoeiro and teaching a Thai massage course. And I also took a tiny little bit of time off, and I still am. Very unusual for me. And that is actually also part of the topic of what I wanted to share today, which is navigating pain. So I was teaching a yoga immersion yesterday, the kind of regular Sunday immersion, and we were focusing on lower back care, which I kind of, sent out as the theme with a yum, which when you have a healthy lower back is all very yummy, very nourishing self-care practice, but it's actually really quite delicate and intense in some way if you are actually suffering from some lower back pain, which I am at the moment, because we yoga teachers and therapists and body workers sometimes have our aches and pains too, and our stories going on and things to process. So as those Sunday immersions are always a little bit themed around whatever is happening with me or around me or what I'm observing, so everybody had to do a practice yesterday around the lower back, because that was basically all I could do. So that's definitely the theme at the moment for me. But it's quite interesting because, I talk about this actually quite a lot, about chronic pain. I run a yoga class for healthy backs, or for people who suffer from back pain. I just released a free workshop on the Yoga Alliance Professionals Training Academy platform, online platform, on chronic pain, dealing with chronic pain. It's a two-part 20-minute kind of little mini introduction. I run a lot of kind of yoga related things around anxiety and dealing with difficult situations, and obviously also run the language of the body, which is a trauma informed and therapeutic approach to teaching yoga. So it's a very prominent theme and topic in all of my work, and has been really like the main focus of everything I do over the last couple of years or so, I would say. And I've had my own kind of stories with pain and my own process, but that was also quite some time ago. And so I'm finding it particularly curious and interesting to observe my process right now, as my lower back has just decided to seize up. There isn't any particular injury, there isn't anything, I don't think, wrong with my spine. It's really like I can feel it in my psoas muscle and my QL. And it stops me from moving properly. It also stops me from giving treatments at the moment. I can, but I know I shouldn't, so I'm being a good girl and postponing my treatments to like sometime next week or week after, I don't know. So I'm finding myself in a very vulnerable and strange place. I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. This is like this is going to be good teaching material one day, once I've worked out what this pain is all about. But I just wanted to share a little bit on my observations of how I'm navigating this on my day-to-day, kind of on a day-to-day basis, because I'm definitely finding that, I'm not in pain all the time. It's just certain moves that I can't do, particularly like sitting down and sitting back and standing up again and lifting things and bending down. And within no time at all, I've developed crazy protective movement patterns. Like the way I bend down now to pick something up from the floor is ridiculous. And it has nothing to do with the real situation of the pain at all. It's just super protective, just in case it could hurt. Or the way I stand up from a chair, or the way I sit down even, or lean back, or walk. It's really interesting. And so the main thing that that is what I'm mostly conscious of at the moment. But what I'm really trying to navigate is to keep moving in as natural a way as possible, to not let any of these patterns manifest too much. Because actually, when I go into these funny movement patterns, supposedly protecting me from experiencing the pain, I contract, and I contract in a way that it then hurts. And I'm noticing how, like, straight away, how unhelpful that actually is. So I'm trying to, okay, so just stand up from the chair as if it's fine. Like, how would you move? How you will shift your weight naturally, give your weight down into the feet and stand up from, whatever, shifting your weight, moving your center of gravity. Same when I'm sitting down again, or when I'm turning or picking things up, or, and yeah, sometimes there's a pain, sometimes it's a bit sharp. So this is the kind of pain that's going on at the moment. It's like ooh, but then that's okay. Like, I go, wah, and move on and move through and realize, okay, so maybe that was pushing it a little bit far. And yes, you can be careful and you can move softly, but stay away from these protective patterns that already, after like literally just a week or so of experiencing this, have completely set in. And I'm just saying, staying away from that, because they feel every single time when I move with this protection pattern, it's like this. It's the contraction to hold myself steady or stable, and it's really not helping. It's exaggerating and exasperating the issue, because it's bringing even more contraction into this muscle spasm that is just kind of happening at the moment. So it's a really helpful reminder, because this is completely and entirely what I go on about when I work with people suffering from chronic pain. It's about finding the movement that is available and finding the placement of the body or the position that is okay, that is fine. To start slowly rewriting the story of that pain pattern that we've decided to develop in the body for some kind of protective reasons. It's not the body working against us. The body is doing this to help us. That's all good. Only often it doesn't actually really serve us in reality. So when I work with people with chronic pain in yoga or Thai massage, it's really about slowly rewriting those patterns that manage to manifest and take hold of the body. Where people have literally embodied the pain and become the pain. Like, child pose, no, can't do that, my knees. Or like, you only have to look at those toes and they go, no, I've got arthritis, and it hurts them already before even having touched those toes, or whatever it is. And that is the behavior of chronic pain. And that's okay. That is real. Pain is always exactly what people say it is. It can't be measured, it can't be put on a scale. If people experience extreme pain, and that is their experience of it. And the work that we need to do in this case is slowly telling the body and the nervous system and the brain, hey, like, there is a pattern here evolving and developing. It's doing it to tell you some kind of story, something you're holding onto, somehow you're protecting yourself because it's triggered some kind of body memory or whatever it might be. But the reality of the situation is there is no injury. There is no actual inflammation. There is no cut or burn or anything like that. And there is all of this movement completely and entirely available to you. And to re-educate the body to discern and discriminate between what is sensation and what is pain. So what sits in the space of maybe discomfort or pressure or sensation, and what is actual real pain. And pain is there as a warning signal, don't go there, and that's fine. We need to listen to that, of course. And what might actually sit in fear. So is it sensation, like pressure or a slight discomfort or a little twinge or something like this? Or is it real pain, sharp pain, warning, signal pain? Or is it actually even the fear of the pain in the first place, and we feel it before we've even moved? And this is kind of like the task and the process of navigating, to find a way, and you might need somebody to work with you on that, or you could do it by yourself, like I'm currently navigating this, to continuously keep checking in with that, so that I'm not letting my brain develop a kind of pain pattern and a fear pattern and a holding pattern around this, that will just take hold of me and won't be so easy to shift. So I'm continuously checking in, no, actually, this is okay. So that's something I really observed yesterday during the 2-hour yoga immersion that I was doing with people, and I was practicing quite a lot of it with them because my back needed it. I was being a little bit selfish. And not all of it was that comfortable. Not all of that felt that free. Not all of it was like that easy to do for me, actually. I was like, oh, okay, these are really basic moves, and my back's going. But a lot of the time, it was really not pain. It was a little bit of a discomfort, a little bit of a contraction, a little bit of holding away from something. And so I consciously kept slowly and gently moving through that to rewire that, to say, hey, okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of extra time here and keep moving, to realize that this movement is perfectly intact and perfectly happening, perfectly available, and there is no need to fear, no need to contract, no need to fight. And literally with every single one of the postures and the moves and the exercises that we did, I went through that same process. And I kept rewiring, letting my body and my brain, my nervous system know, this is a movement that is available. This is sensation, this is okay. What's, and you're holding, you're tensing up. And I know, because it's a really, really, really good reminder to feel it in my own body, how easy and natural it would be to actually just say, no, this is painful, I'm not doing it. Because, pain is a warning signal that our body designed to tell us, stay away, don't touch this, don't do this, don't go any further. And so when there is only the slightest hint of it coming into the body, I feel in my own body how fine that line is to go into, to go to the other side and say, no, I'm not going there. But then I would just not move anymore, and I wouldn't literally do anything. So that's not really an option. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting navigation. So I thought, anyway, because in the context of my work, it's so relevant and so interesting. So I thought I'd share a little bit about what's going on for me. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it goes on for quite a lot of people, and it doesn't need to be the lower back, it could be the knee, it could be something else. And of course, there's also a lot of pain that has a specific root cause, and there is inflammation in the body, or there is an autoimmune disease at play, or there is an actual injury, or there's a spinal issue. I'm not dissing any of that, but a lot of the pain that we experience is this kind of pain. And a lot of people experience it. I don't need to cite the stats now, I haven't got them to hand, or, and obviously worldwide it's impossible to capture, but there's so many studies out there with shocking numbers of how many people suffer from chronic pain. And so, yeah, that's kind of like an interesting process. The other aspect of navigating this, of course, is to also listen into it and feel into it, to see, okay, so why did my body decide to go into this pain? what is going on? What is the story here? What might be triggering that? So what is the story that my body clearly had already embedded and is now coming into some kind of pain expression? So that's also an interesting process, because when it comes to these kind of muscular pain stories, that is very often emotional or anxiety related, or some kind of other story that we're having to deal with and process. So I haven't quite worked that out yet. I am really, first step of that is to go into acceptance, to say, okay, I'm inviting it in. It's part of me. Something is in turmoil at the moment, and I'm only going to release this pain in my back if I fully invite that in, because it's part of me and my life right now on this earth. And if I just fight it and push it back or ignore it or suppress it, it's not ever going to shift. And that I know definitely from experience of having had strange pains in my body, and the only way to resolve it at the time was literally to just acknowledge that there was something big going on in my life, and that it wasn't all exciting, but maybe also really scary, for example. I remember that as an example when I first moved to Lisbon. Like, my legs, just the backs of the knees hurt like crazy. I could hardly walk for no real reason whatsoever, until I acknowledged that moving country, starting again, rebuilding your life, and all of that at the age of 37 was maybe quite a big thing, which at the time I was just too excited to realize. And then as soon as I had just invited that in as part of the situation, say, actually, this is just as scary as it is exciting, the pain was gone from one day to the next. Absolutely amazing. And I needed somebody else to help me process that and realize that too. So this navigating is, we're kind of a little bit too caught up in it and too close to it to sometimes do this work on our own. So I can only recommend to go and, I don't know, work with your yoga teacher more, go and see a craniosacral therapist or a Thai massage practitioner, I don't know, whatever. And, to come to this place of, okay, it's okay. It's okay. There is a story that needs processing. It's part of where I am right now. It's part of the here and now. It's not me. It's a story. It's some information, and it's okay. And then maybe finding a way to listen into that and actually figuring out what that story is. Like I said, I haven't quite got there yet. I have a couple of suspicions, but so when I do, I look forward to that moment, because then it becomes real teaching material where I can tell the story. So this and this and this and this emotional roller coaster was going on for me, and the way it manifested was with these spasms in my back and my psoas. And this is how I went about navigating that and coming out of it, but not quite there yet. I shall give you updates. A huge part of that is also the process of navigating is accepting accepting health also, accepting help, allowing yourself to receive help. Not the easiest thing for me. So that's a bit of a lesson I'm learning. As a friend here staying with me at the moment, and I'm having to accept so much help, and it feels really vulnerable being in this place of maybe needing help, and just kind of navigating that and being okay with that, and then doing the practice. I know that my day will be 10 times better if I just make sure I get on the mat and do my practice. And there I really do like a mixture of things. Like I already mentioned when I was going through the immersion yesterday, it's about this rewiring the pain story. So definitely working with movement, Not just going, okay, let's find ways to release and da, da, da. Yes, that too. So finding some poses and some ways to go, okay, giving this time, release, letting it be and letting the tissues settle. But actually also going into movement, removing stagnation in the body, getting things to communicate, getting things connected in the body again. And the other thing that I'm finding extremely helpful in this practice is to regulate the internal pressure system that we have through our diaphragms, our diaphragmatic pressure system. And this is something I bring in from my from osteotai and the osteopathic principles. And there's so much tension we hold in the diaphragm, the pelvic floor, and other diaphragms that we have in the body. And unless they get unstuck, there is no easing and releasing of the tissues possible, because if this internal pressure system that we have is holding tension, holding tight, it prevents a full expression of expansion and retraction in all of the cells and tissues in the body. And so nothing can actually really go back to a healthy expression if it can't resonate out through the whole body via this pressure regulating system that our diaphragms are. So really releasing the pelvic floor, releasing the diaphragm. So I'm doing some specific breathing exercises that really address that, as well as doing some specific practices in my yoga. If I was to receive a treatment right now, or if I was to give a treatment to somebody who might be presenting with this kind of issue, I would really work a lot on the diaphragm and all of the diaphragms in the body to really help regulate, so that the tissues can really come back into their full expression and don't hit a brick wall in that pressure system that might be stuck. So as much as I have a whole range of great exercises and moves and techniques that I do and I teach and I share. This for me is standing out as the most helpful, actually. And so I'm again really grateful in a way that I'm experiencing this in my own body right now, so that I can actually maybe even refocus some of my teachings and say, actually, this and this and this and this is all great. And if we don't sort out the tension in the diaphragm and the pelvic floor, then the other stuff isn't really going to cut it, because you keep hitting a brick wall. So yeah, grateful for that reminder, experiencing that in my own body. So yeah, I'm already in a place where I can bring some gratitude to this back pain, which is a good step forward. And then the final thing for me that is kind of like a reminder a little bit, and kind of sort of feeling a little bit the heaviness of it. And the focus of my work has all been on some heavy stuff, and it's important and it's needed, and I feel really passionate about working with people who do suffer from chronic pain or anxiety or trauma or any of those kind of stories, and really so passionate about creating a change and a shift in the way that we approach yoga and body work and touch and connection. And kind of just experiencing this pain in my own back right now. Really noticing a little bit the heaviness of that. And so being forced to take some time off, crazy, and to rest and recover and move. And so I'm moving a lot, I'm walking a lot, I'm going into the ocean and everything else. It's a really good reminder that it's maybe also time to find joy again, and to enjoy and to express joy, and to lift some of the heaviness of the last year and a half, which, ultimately pandemic or no pandemic, doesn't really matter, but, we all go through phases that are just heavier, and where we're having to fight and push and keep going and fight more and push more. And if I was to describe my last year and a half, and there's many, many, many things over the pandemic that I'm super grateful for that have come out of that time that I'm so excited about, with regards to my work and many other things. And And generally, I would still describe well, that was really like a year and a half of just fighting constantly, and it's relentless. And so this pain is maybe also there to tell me, okay, it's been heavy. It is heavy. Maybe it's also time to lift some of that, to move back into lightness, into flow, to find the joy, to enjoy in all aspects, not just in life, but also in the work, when you kind of start focusing on heavier topics, then, maybe we forget that there's also joyfulness in it. And so that might relate to all sorts of different aspects of everyone's individual stories in life and experience of this time, but I don't know, it's a bit of a guess, an assumption that will resonate with most people, that they feel a little bit that heaviness, and maybe we can lift some of that. So it's time for joy. Thank you so much for listening to my wafflings. Any questions, observations, please do comment. I always love to hear from you guys. And especially if you have your own story of navigating a time of experiencing pain in your body and your experience of it. If you're in it right now, if you have any questions, if you're actually interested in some specific exercises that I find helpful, then please do send me a message or comment. Or if you have any other questions, leave them below. Thank you so much for watching today. Have a beautiful start to a beautiful new week, and take care of yourselves. Bye bye.